Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to a brave new guitar world. I'm excited to talk to you today. I want to give you 2 super quick tips on how to be more musical. Let's check it out. All right, folks, I want to give you guys 2 very simple tips to how to be more musical. So often as guitar players, we're getting caught up in fingers and frets and dots and patterns and stuff, and we're kind of removed from music. We got to get back in the music, get centered in the music thing. So here are 2 very simple tips to help you stabilize yourself. The first tip is playing on one string. There's something magical about playing on one string on the guitar. Once you can navigate the spacings of your scale, music's very easy to look at on the guitar. And it's kind of like when people say it's like the piano. It goes low to high, right? There's only one direction. This is low and this is high. That centers your musical direction. When you can see that clear as day. We completely lose sight of that when we cross strings, right? So if you're on this G, and I go back 3 frets to the next string, to the 2nd fret, the note went up, right? That's G to A. That seems counterintuitive to look at, and our ear is kind of confused probably looking at that stuff. So when you play on one string, this gets all unified. If you check out my past video on BSS and what that is, that can help you show you a pentatonic on one scale. So I'll send a link to it up in the corner here. And I want to show you even, let's say if we take a major scale. Let's say if we just take G from this first G on the 3rd fret. Most people know the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So if you do whole step, half step, then we have another whole step, half step. Once you see that, it's very easy to see and hear that scale. You can very easily see sequences, like a 3-note pattern, right? You can see the first 3 notes, then the second 3 notes, and so forth. So playing on one string can ground you on the instrument and take a lot of the confusion of the guitar out of it. We get great melodies within the span of 1 octave, so even the first 12 frets you get a lot of work with, to work with on one string, which is fantastic. The second tip, my favorite tip, this one is even easier to think about because you're only going to use this finger. That's crazy, right? Like, why would you do that? But when you take away the other fingers, all of those little hand habits, impulse things you do, that you don't intend to really do, that takes this out of the equation. So if you go back to a single, now I'm back to all the strings. You don't have to restrict yourself to one string either. But you can do this, let's say if I played a pentatonic pattern 1 for A minor right here. We know that that's also C major, of course. But I can play this with one finger. And the beauty of that is you start to see the notes and the places to play. You're not going to get hung up on what finger to do it with. And honestly, it doesn't matter. You've never heard a recording and been like, man, that was an awesome solo. I just wish he used his first finger instead of his second. Of course, you never thought like that. That's ridiculous, because you can't hear that difference, right? It doesn't matter. So once you take your fingerings out of it, I see so many of my students get grounded in this, in a good way, musically stabilized from this. You can connect with it. You combine these two and you can most certainly get very musical. I found my students have so much success with this, and it's such a simple idea. I remember someone first asked me to play a scale on one string and my heart dropped. I was like, what? How do I even do that? I had only looked at scales like this. And that's a hard way to look at them on the guitar. Looking at them on one string, you can see where all the half steps are, the whole steps. and it's so freeing to move around. The other bonus is the timbre of the notes stays the same when you're on one string. Meaning the color of the tones, the tone of the note will stay the same because of the same mass of the string that we use for that. So that's the bonus of playing on one string. If you could map out your scale on any single string and do it for all 6 strings, you're back to the same scale patterns you had all along, which is tremendous. So learning on one string is a tremendous value. Just even quickly here, remember we did whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That was from this G. Any G will yield the same G scale, right? So if I do the open G string, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and I'm right back at the 12th fret. Easy to look at, right? So cool. And again, the other tip of using one finger. I find so much freedom in this. It's like using your voice. You're now reserved to using one sound, one direction with your melodies. And that's so powerful to do that. I often find myself doing this if I'm playing a show and we don't have a sound check, the band's on stage, we're a little frantic, it's a little hectic, and I gotta jump right into a solo first. I'll often start with just one finger, just to ground myself on stage so I'm musical. I don't want to sound like a technique or a technician or someone practicing. I don't want to have any of that. I want to be musical when I play. Now, it is going to be tempting to play on one string with one finger, but you don't have to. And in fact, I would encourage you to take the worst case scenario, which for me was all the same frets. And I would just go back and forth to get this out of my system, right? Because that's the worst it's going to get, really. I mean, maybe you have to jump strings, you know, but you want to get comfortable moving around with one finger. Again, these have been 2 tips that have helped me over the years, and I've found them tremendous success with all of my students with both these tips. Have fun, enjoy, stay safe, stay sane, and I will see you guys very soon. Rock on.